Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Sunday, August 14th, 2022. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to leave your baseball picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my MLB best bets, you can find those at the Premium Picks tab at pickdawgz.com. Of course, I'm always running my $15 MLB best bet. And don't forget, you can use the code AUG15, that's AUG15, to save 15% at checkout. Alrighty, here we go. Here are the games for Sunday, August 14th. First up, we see the San Diego Padres taking on the Washington Nationals. Paolo Espino and Blake Snell are your starters. Now, the numbers for the Washington Nationals offensively in the last month or so haven't been too bad, actually. 14th in team OPS, 15th in isolated power. But more than half of those games were when Juan Soto and Josh Bell were still in the lineup. So I don't think this lineup is as good as those numbers represent against left-handers. And Blake Snell, he has been razor sharp as of late. His last 4 starts, 1 earned run or less in all 4 of those starts. Only 1 home run allowed in those outings. Strikeouts galore, not a lot of base hits, and pitching deep into games as well. At least 6 innings in 2 of the last 3. I think he pitches well in this spot. And on Paolo Espino's side, Padres are crushing right-handed pitching recently. A lot of that's because of the new look lineup in San Diego, but when you look at the numbers, number 5 in isolated power, number 5 in team OPS, and 808 team OPS against righties. I like the Padres offense to get to Espino and this Nationals bullpen. I like San Diego to continue to win here. Give me the Padres on the run line. Next up, we see the Cleveland Guardians taking on the Toronto Blue Jays. Pretty good pitching matchup we see here in Shane Bieber and Kevin Gausman. However, Kevin Gausman has struggled in Toronto this season. On the road, he's been a really sharp starter, and you look at his ERA overall, 2.91. On the road, it's 1.83, so sub 2 right now. But at home, 4.19 ERA, a 3-5 record, giving up 70 base hits and 53 2/3 innings, an opponent's batting average of .317, and that's scary when you're facing a really good Cleveland Guardians lineup against right-handed pitching. All season long, the Guardians have been good against righties in the team OPS department. Not the most powerful team, but they get on base, they limit strikeouts, and I think they can get to Gausman here for a few runs. And with Bieber pitching really well recently, I think the Guardians getting plus money here is a no-brainer. I'm going to take the Cleveland Guardians as the underdog here on the road. Next up, we see the Atlanta Braves taking on the Miami Marlins. No official starter for the Braves quite yet, so there's no official lineup for this one. But I do expect it to be Spencer Strider or Charlie Morton, and either option, I think, will have success in this game. The Marlins really struggling offensively, 28th in both team OPS and isolated power in the last month against righties. They're not doing much against lefties either. On the other side, Braxton Garrett, a left-handed pitcher. The Braves' numbers against lefties a little inconsistent. They are 8th in team OPS in the last 30 days, but they're 16th in isolated power. So the power numbers not really there lately. I do think the Braves will score a few runs on Garrett, but overall, I think he's a solid starting pitcher. Just another one that the Marlins have in that young rotation. But overall, I like the under in this Braves-Marlins game, and I do lean towards Atlanta on the money line. Next up, we see the Baltimore Orioles taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. Jordan Lyles and Drew Rasmussen are your starters for this one. To me, this total is set too low. I like the over in this Rays-Orioles matchup. Jordan Lyles has really struggled against the Rays this season, an ERA above 7 overall. He's faced them quite a few times, so that's exactly what you don't want to see with your starting pitcher on the road this year. He's 13 1/3 innings, 7.43 ERA, 11 earned runs, 3 homers, an opponent's batting average of .308. So I do think the Rays get to him yet again. On the other side, Drew Rasmussen's got a 2.96 ERA, but the xFIP above 3.5, and the Orioles are hitting right-handed pitching really well. It's part of the reason why they're now into the American League wildcard race. Orioles top 10 in team OPS against righties, top 15 in isolated power. So I think they can score a few runs on Rasmussen themselves. They scored 2 in only 4 2/3 innings back on July 27th. Actually, 3 total runs. 2 of those were earned from Rasmussen. So I like the over in this game. I think we see some scoring early. The bullpens are pretty sharp, so I'm not sure there's going to be too much scoring late. But if this is a close game, we've seen plenty of extra innings between these two. I wouldn't be surprised to see another one. Give me the over in this Orioles-Rays matchup. Next up, we see the Chicago Cubs taking on the Cincinnati Reds, and I'm going to take another over in this one. We see Keegan Thompson and Justin Dunn are your starters. I really can't trust either guy in this matchup. When you look at Keegan Thompson, he's had a lot of success at Wrigley Field, but no success on the road. A 5.09 ERA in his road starts this year in 35 innings, so a pretty good sample size. Opponent's batting average of .282 with 8 home runs allowed in those 35 innings. And now he's pitching at Great American Ballpark, probably the second most or maybe third most hitter-friendly ballpark in the league. The Reds haven't had the best lineup this year, but I still think they'll be able to get to Keegan Thompson. On the other side, I like the Cubs offense against Justin Dunn as well. Dunn only had one start this year so far in the major league level. He struggled quite a bit against the New York Mets. 4 2/3 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned, a home run, 2 walks, only 2 strikeouts. He has a lot of walks allowed, doesn't really strike out a lot of batters. The Cubs' numbers offensively also not the strongest, but when you have two bad teams playing against each other, usually you can see some higher scoring contests. And when you look at both of these bullpens, I think these are the 29th and 30th ranked bullpens in the league just in terms of projected WAR, and I don't trust either bullpen at all in this spot. Give me the over in this Cubs-Reds matchup. We see a high total for a reason. Next up, we see the Philadelphia Phillies taking on the New York Mets. Zach Wheeler and Chris Bassett are your starters. A really good pitching matchup yet again in this series. Now, Chris Bassett's had a lot of success against the Phillies, and he's pitched really well at Citi Field this year. At home, a 2.72 ERA at 72 2/3 innings. And against the Phillies, he's faced them twice, 11 2/3 innings, only a 1.54 ERA, an opponent's batting average of 167. Pitching really well against Philadelphia. Now, on the other side, Zach Wheeler has also pitched well against his former club in the New York Mets. This year, he's faced them 2 times as well, a 1.69 ERA, 154 opponent's batting average, really strong numbers. But on the road this year, a 3.88 ERA, far worse than his home ERA at 1.57. And the Mets, I do think they have the better lineup against right-handed pitching especially. I do trust the Mets bullpen as well, so I like the New York Mets here. Chris Bassett's been so good at Citi Field. I think he pitches another good outing in this one. I expect a low-scoring game, and I like the New York Mets here on the money line. Next up, we see the Detroit Tigers taking on the Chicago White Sox. I have to say, this is not my favorite game on the board. Lance Lynn and Tyler Alexander are your starters. To me, Lance Lynn, a 5.88 ERA. I do think his advanced numbers show that he should have some better results on the mound soon, an xFIP below 4, but he's still given up a lot of home runs. You look at the home run total, 3 allowed to the Twins back on July 16th, 3 allowed to the A's on July 29th, 2 home runs allowed in his most recent start against the Kansas City Royals. We're not really used to seeing that from Lance Lynn, so I do worry about that. He is striking out some batters, but against the Tigers this year, he's had no success. I think Detroit can get to him again for a few runs. Against Detroit in 4 1/3 innings this year, 10 hits, 3 earned runs, a home run, and that was the only start he's faced them in. But I think the Tigers, although their offense isn't the strongest, I think they can find 2 or 3 runs on Lynn. And on the other side, Tyler Alexander is a left-handed pitcher, and what we've known from the last couple years is the White Sox hit left-handed pitching pretty well, but as of late, that has just not been the case. And I do think with Anderson and Luis Robert out of the lineup, it's going to be even more so. When you look at the numbers against lefties, the White Sox are ranked 28th in isolated power, and the team OPS number is not much better at 23rd. So they're not really hitting lefties right now, and I think the Tigers pitching staff has a good outing here. Pretty good bullpen that Detroit has. I expect a low-scoring game. I could see a 3-2, 4-3 kind of game. Give me the Tigers on the run line plus the 1.5 runs. In our next game, we see an interleague matchup between the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Kansas City Royals. Tyler Anderson for the Dodgers and Brady Singer for the Royals. Now, the way to beat Brady Singer, in my opinion, is via the home run ball. When you look at his numbers, he's in the bottom 13th percentile in barrel percentage, 25th percentile in average exit velo, and 30th percentile in hard hit percentage. So that does make him pretty susceptible to the home run ball. He's given up at least 1 homer in each of his last 2 starts. The Dodgers lineup has been really good against right-handed pitching power-wise, and they are still near the top of the league in most important hitting metrics against righties in the entire season. And in the last 30 days, number 1 in team OPS, number 4 in isolated power. They don't strike out much as a lineup. They're actually the second lowest strikeout rate. So Singer, he's more of a strikeout-dependent guy. If he's not missing those bats and he's giving up some sharp contact, I think he's in trouble here. On the other side, Tyler Anderson, a left-handed pitcher of the Royals, numbers against lefties better than against righties, but not good enough in my opinion. Anderson, the xFIP is actually above 4 right now, so there could be some regression in his game, but he keeps the ball on the ground. He doesn't give up a lot of sharp contact. Although he doesn't earn a lot of strikeouts, he also doesn't give up a lot of home runs and walks, so he's able to compensate there. I'm going to take the Los Angeles Dodgers here on the run line. I just think they're the better lineup, the better starter, and the better bullpen here. Give me the LA Dodgers on the minus 1.5 run line. In our next game, we see an AL West contest between the Houston Astros and the Oakland Athletics. We're going to see Cole Irvin and Christian Javier here in another lopsided moneyline price as the Astros are big-time favorites. Now, Cole Irvin has faced the Astros quite a bit recently. In fact, 2 of the last 5 starts have been against the Angels, 2 of them against the Astros, and then 1 against the Rangers. So a lot of AL West games for Cole Irvin. He's pitched well against the Astros thus far in his last 2 starts as well, but when you face a lineup over and over again, I do give the advantage to the offense, and it makes sense at home here when the Astros are hitting lefties very, very well. Number 3 in isolated power, number 6 in team OPS in the last month. I think they get to Irvin in this spot, and Christian Javier is pitching well for Houston overall. He's been able to step it up as the Astros finally got back Lance McCullers Jr. in that rotation. Now they've got Verlander, Valdez, McCullers Jr., and Christian Javier. Jose Urquidy, not a bad option as the 5th guy. This is not a bad Houston Astros rotation. I think they got to be the favorites to win the American League. Now, the Astros haven't given Javier a lot of run support lately, but I do think they do in this spot. Give me the Houston Astros here on the run line. Next up, we see an NL Central rivalry between the Milwaukee Brewers and the St. Louis Cardinals. Aaron Ashby and Miles Mikolas are your starters. Now, Mikolas really struggled at Coors Field, but he's done that in really his entire career. He's more of a pitch-to-contact guy, and we pretty much knew it wasn't a great spot to be in for Mikolas. He gave up 10 earned runs in 2 2/3 innings, but I don't think that that's a representation of who he is as a pitcher. 2.48 ERA at home this year, and overall 3.50 ERA on the season. That start's definitely going to blow up those numbers. I don't think you totally write it off, but I also don't think you fade Mikolas the rest of the year because of it. He hasn't been pitching in great form as of late. There's definitely no doubt about that, but I do think this start will be sharper, especially at home. 3 of his last 4 starts have been on the road, and like I mentioned, he's had a lot more success at Busch Stadium, a more pitcher-friendly ballpark. On the other side, Aaron Ashby, not a guy that I'm giving up on completely, and I don't think he's pitched nearly as bad as that 2-10 record makes it look like. But he is a left-handed pitcher, and he is walking a lot of guys. His last 2 starts, 8 walks combined, a home run in his last start against the Reds, and 4 earned runs in 4 2/3 innings. The Cardinals have just been so good against lefties. Number 2 in team OPS with an 865 team OPS in the last month. Isolated power ranked 4th in the league. I think the Cardinals offense is just too much here for Ashby. I like Mikolas to bounce back here. Give a quality start here, about 6 innings, maybe 3 earned runs. And I like the Cardinals to win this game on the money line at home. So give me St. Louis money line here. Next up, we see the Seattle Mariners taking on the Texas Rangers. Logan Gilbert and Martin Perez are your starters. Pretty difficult game, in my opinion, but I do like the Mariners here at a pretty good price. Logan Gilbert and Martin Perez have not been in the best form lately. Gilbert really struggled against the Yankees in the 2 starts he had back-to-back. 13 earned runs and 4 homers in only 9 1/3 innings against the Yankees. But now he's away from the Bronx Bombers. They can't hurt him anymore. And he's facing the Rangers here, who just don't have the same lineup against the right-handers. 16th in team OPS, 19th in isolated power, so below average in both. And Martin Perez on the other side, he's also not pitching very well. His last start against the Astros, 7 earned runs, a home run, 3 walks, only 2 Ks in 5 innings. That was a 7-5 Rangers loss. The previous start, he pitched better against the Orioles, but still a home run, 3 walks allowed. The Rangers still lost it 6-3. This Rangers bullpen I don't think is very trustworthy. I think the Mariners have the far better bullpen right now. I think leading the league in bullpen ERA. And I do trust the Mariners lineup just a little bit more as well. So I like Seattle here at a pretty good price. Give me the Mariners on the money line. Next up, we see the Arizona Diamondbacks taking on the Colorado Rockies. Tommy Henry and Ryan Feltner are your starters. This is a really tough game, in my opinion. Not my favorite game on the board, but I do trust the Rockies' bats just a little bit more, although I'm not in love with their bullpen or their starting pitching option in this one. But I will say Ryan Feltner a little bit more trustworthy. I think the xFIP numbers show that he is a sharper pitcher than Tommy Henry this season, although both guys haven't had a ton of work this year. Tommy Henry only 12 innings pitched, and he hasn't given up a ton of runs, a 3.75 ERA, but the xFIP and the expected ERA, not good, giving up at least a home run in each of his first 2 outings, walking some batters, and he really didn't face the toughest of lineups. And this is a young pitcher pitching at Coors Field. That's usually a bad sign. Ryan Feltner has been actually better at Coors Field than he has been on the road. So I'm going to take the Colorado Rockies here on the money line. Next up, we see the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the San Francisco Giants with Zach Thompson and Alex Wood on the mound. At a pitcher-friendly ballpark with 2 lineups that really aren't hitting very well, the Giants, especially against right-handed pitching. I'm going to take the under here. You know, Zach Thompson has been disappointing this season. I was really optimistic about him going into 2022 after a really good couple of starts with the Miami Marlins in 2021. But, you know, this year, 5.08 ERA, but he has better numbers on the road. He's been pitching better as of late. I think he can give the Pirates about 5 innings of decent baseball. I think the Giants score a few runs on him, but I think he can give the Pirates some innings here. On the other side, Alex Wood, he's been inconsistent, but last start, razor sharp against the San Diego Padres. Really tough lineup there. 6 1/3 innings, no earned runs, 5 strikeouts. Pirates do strike out themselves quite a bit. I think Wood has a good outing. I think Thompson, like I mentioned, gives the Pirates some innings, and I think this game goes under the total. I lean towards the Giants on the run line, but not a lot of value there in my opinion. Give me the under in this Pirates-Giants matchup. Next up, we see the Minnesota Twins taking on the Los Angeles Angels. We're going to see Chris Archer and Tucker Davidson on the mound, and unlike the last game, I actually like the over in this one. Chris Archer, not my favorite starter to back. I do think there's a lot of regression to worry about in his game. He doesn't pitch very deep into ball games, gives up some home runs, gives up some walks especially, and doesn't miss a lot of bats. The strikeouts not really there this year, only 66 and 78 in a third innings pitched. 40 walks allowed in that stretch as well. The Angels don't have the best lineup in baseball, that's for sure. They have certainly struggled offensively, but I still think they can score a few runs on Archer. And this Minnesota Twins bullpen hasn't been very trustworthy this season. On the other side, I really don't like Tucker Davidson in this matchup, even though the Minnesota Twins, not the greatest lineup against lefties, but Davidson a 7.91 ERA in the early his a few outings in the majors this year, 19 in the third innings pitched, 17 earned, a home run, so only one home run, but 18 walks compared to 11 strikeouts. 7 more walks allowed than strikeouts earned. That is very scary to see. I think the Twins could score some runs on them, and I don't trust this Angels bullpen at all. So give me the over in this Twins-Angels matchup. In our final game of the night, we see your Sunday Night Baseball contest on ESPN. New York Yankees, Boston Red Sox. Doesn't get better than this. Jameson Taillon and Michael Wacha as your starters. Wacha making his return from the IL, and I don't really like him in this outing. You know, he's a guy that I do expect to regress quite a bit. When his numbers overall this year are 2.69 ERA, a 6-1 record, really sharp. But I still worry about some of the signs. Doesn't strike out a lot of guys. He's had some walk issues at times in his career and the home runs as well. So I do think the Yankees a very good lineup against the right-handed pitching. I think they'll get to Wacha for quite a few runs early on, and I think they'll continue to get to the Red Sox bullpen. On the other side, Jameson Taillon doesn't have good numbers against the Red Sox this year. In 11 innings, 5.73 ERA, but most of that was due to the first game he saw them in. In the second start against the Red Sox at Yankee Stadium, 6 innings, 1 earned run, 5 strikeouts, and a 14-1 Yankees win. I don't think Taillon will be that sharp, but I still think he can give the Yankees 5 to 6 good innings. I think that's enough for the Yankees to win a must-win game here on the road at Fenway Park. Give me the Yankees on the money line. And that's it. Those are the games for Sunday, August 14th. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.